I want to know what the hell you and your boss, Aristotle Dumas, are really up to.
Maybe you need to take a page out of your own devious playbook and get Phyllis out of Billy's orbit for good.
Victor is the reason that I asked you to meet me. Nikki, I need you to betray your husband.
Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel and I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It's time to stand up in today's The Young and the Restless. The Young and the Restless. YNR, spoilers for the week of June 30th to July 4th reveal that things are about to take an unsettling turn in nice. Kane Ashby's Billy Flynn. Prediction may come true about someone trying to kill him, but that doesn't mean they'll take out the intended victim. Another character could land in the killer's path, like Chance Chancellor, Connor Floyd, now that he's on high alert and looking into the situation. If Chance uncovers who's plotting Kane's demise, he could be silenced permanently. Then again, it could be someone else who faces a grisly outcome instead. Whatever the case, some corpse panic should erupt and leave everybody scrambling in the coming episodes. If one of Kane's guests ends up a goner as expected, he's sure to make a vengeful vow. Kane may promise the person responsible will pay and could feel guilty for luring others into danger through his party. As for Damian Kane, Jermaine Rivers, Amy Lewis, Valerie Pettiford, felt a chill down her spine before he left GC. But what did it mean? Damian might land in peril himself, but that could also be about some false accusations. Since Damian found Kane's knife collection on the train and had his hands all over one of them, he might have just touched the murder weapon. Damian could end up wrongfully accused after handling that knife, once it shows up bloody later. Will Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, have to rush to Damian's defense? Regardless, YNR will offer up plenty of whodunit questions. Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, could use the situation to her advantage if she decides solving the crime would be a good way to lock in a partnership with Kane. However, Phyllis may have to lean on Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, for some support first. The same goes for Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, since it looks like both women will be pretty shaken up over the circumstances of the body discovery. All the fear and chaos could pull Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, closer to Kyle Abbott, Michael Mueller, too. Everyone's emotions will be all over the place due to the murder mystery mayhem, so even Audra herself may be surprised by how far she goes with Kyle. Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, and Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, will also find themselves tangled up in all the criminal turmoil, so we'll see if they can uncover any secrets along the way. Finally, Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, will plan to give Victor updates on some important news regarding Aristotle Dumas' real estate moves, but his journey will come with some curveballs. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Adam will face some major obstacles as he works to join the others in Nice, so stay tuned. CDL's where you want to be for great Young and the Restless spoilers, updates, and news, so make us your one-stop YNR source. For months now, the word around the Young and the Restless canvas has been that the mysterious Aristotle Dumas was after Chancellor. Now that Kane Billy Flynn has revealed himself to be Aristotle and asked Victor, Eric Braden, directly for the company, we have to think the showdown over the legacy business is about to get very interesting. As we said, Kane asked Victor to sell him Chancellor. Not only that, but Kane was willing to give Victor the businesses he built up as Aristotle Dumas in exchange for Chancellor. However, the mustache was having none of it and told Kane there wasn't a deal to be made. Of course, that was music to Nikki's, Melody Thomas Scott, ears when she heard about Victor's rejection of the deal, as she has no intention of parting ways with the company that once belonged to her best friend, Catherine Jean Cooper. Considering all the build-up about Aristotle/Kane wanting Chancellor, we think Kane has a plan B already in the works. After giving it some thought, we can't help but think there's a chance Kane's next move has to do with Jill, Jess Walton, and her sale of the corporation to the Newman patriarch. We won't pretend to be legal experts by any stretch of the imagination, but we think Kane can deal a devastating blow to Victor and make a giant leap in attaining Chancellor by getting a court to invalidate Jill's sale by questioning her capacity at the time everything unfolded. When Jill decided to sell Victor Chancellor, it was during a time she was still very much recovering from her heart episode. Although she professed to be doing better at Abby's, Melissa Ordway, wedding to Devin Brighton James. We believe she ultimately wound up going back to Europe to continue some treatment. Backing it up even further, before Jill decided to sell Chancellor, she was actively stepping back from the business to tend to her heart issues and left Billy, Jason Thompson, in charge alongside Lily, Crystal Khalil. Yet, Billy made the grave error in judgment to fire Lily, hire Phyllis, Michelle Stafford, who at the time was still on probation for her fraud charges, and he was insistent on changing the name of the company. We say all that to say, though it may be a stretch, Kane can use all these instances to paint the picture that perhaps Jill wasn't in the right frame of mind to ever sell Victor Chancellor in the first place. The right attorney, like Amanda Sinclair, Miss Hale Morgan, would really have to convince a judge, though. Not for nothing, it's worth pointing out that Billy, Chance, Connor Floyd, Lily, Devin, and Abby are all guests at Kane's party and happen to be witnesses to Jill's business acumen when all these events were happening. We don't think for a second these individuals would speak against Jill to disparage her character, but if the right questions are asked by Amanda in court, their intent behind their answers won't really matter. Should our wild theory ring true, and Amanda proves successful in contesting the sale of Chancellor to Victor, then we have to think about what happens next. Presumably, the company would revert back to Jill with Victor chomping at the bit to repurchase it again. However, would Kane be able to convince his mother figure to sell to him instead? And what of Billy? Would he not see this as his chance to get the company back? Once more, this is all based in theory at the moment. It's just hard to see many ways in which Kane gets his hands on Chancellor without Victor giving it to him. Another day, another theory to unpack involving the young and the restless Aristotle Dumas. Despite us speculating that the mystery business tycoon is either Kane Ashby or Tucker McCall, our best guess being the former, Aristotle's real identity is still a closely guarded secret that only Amanda Sinclair, Miss Hale Morgan, knows the truth about. Additionally, while it's been stated by Amanda and Billy, Jason Thompson, that Aristotle is going after Chancellor, we have no way of knowing if that's truly the case until Aristotle makes his move. Zeroing in on this point about Chancellor, it's crossed our mind that there's a possibility that Aristotle isn't going after the company, but merely putting that rumor out there to provide a nice distraction. Perhaps Aristotle wants Victor, Eric Braden, so focused on protecting Chancellor from a hostile takeover and keeping Nikki, Melody Thomas Scott, at the helm of the large corporation, that Victor lets his defenses down when it comes to his other businesses, Newman. Even if Chancellor is really what Aristotle is after, who's to say that he won't settle for Newman Enterprises or Newman Media as a consolation prize of epic proportions? Again, Victor is so focused on protecting Chancellor and so distracted by his feud with Jack, Peter Bergman, and quest to break up Kyle, Michael Mealer, and Claire, Haley Aaron, that it's hard to imagine he has been paying as close attention to the company he built from the ground up. When you add the fact that Michael, Christian LeBlanc, is no longer working for Victor, doing his dirty work while protecting him, Victor may be a bit more vulnerable to attack these days than he was previously. Now, to be fair, we'll happily acknowledge that Victor has a winning track record in business that should squash any doubt that he'll beat Aristotle. Plus, Victor has Victoria, Amelia Heinley, Nick, Joshua Morrow, and Adam, Mark Grossman, to have his back in corporate combat. However, Victor was once dealt a mighty blow thanks to the Prentice family. Additionally, Victoria has a lot on her mind lately with Coles, Jay, Eddie Peck, health, and her daughter's love life. Nick is busy denying his resurgence of romantic feelings for Sharon Case, and Adam is trying to manage being Victor's pitbull while being the new man he's promised to be for Chelsea, Melissa Claire Egan. Having said all that, with Victor having been a thorn in the side of many Genoa City residents recently, we think he may be owed a serving of humble pie, served courtesy of Aristotle. Whether that be Aristotle hostilely taking over Chancellor or acquiring a Newman brand, we can imagine Victor suffering a setback. But we should note, even if one of our theories proves true this go-around and Victor loses a battle with Aristotle, the mustache will likely ultimately win the war. Over the years on the young and the restless, arguably no one has accumulated more enemies than the great Victor Newman, Eric Braden. While he's our all-time favorite Genoa City resident, his tendencies to be a ruthless businessman, a wildly overprotective family man, and a fierce rival with matters of the heart make him a bit of a prickly personality to those who cross his path. Heck, He's even fallen out with his own Newman clan at multiple points in his life, although they always find a way to make amends. One new enemy of Victor that has been talked about a lot lately, but has yet to be seen, is the mysterious Aristotle Dumas. While the mustache has stated he's had a rivalry with Aristotle for years in the corporate world, viewers are just now catching wind of the character, largely because of Damian's, Jermaine Rivers' connection to him and Lily's, Crystal Khalil, quest to find the truth. With Victor becoming curious as to what Aristotle could be up to next, he's tasked Michael, Christian LeBlanc, with doing some digging. And in the Young and the Restless episode airing on April 3rd, Michael gives his boss a few big updates. Not only does Michael reveal to Victor that Aristotle reached out to Billy, Jason Thompson, for some unknown reason, but he also shares that he learned Nate, Sean Dominic, and Damian are brothers. Michael and Victor also talk about the fact that Aristotle has a company named Arabesque, and Victor notes a connection between Arabesque and glissade. It's worth pointing out that both are terms that can refer to ballet positions. Trying to add all of this up, Victor predicts that Aristotle is actually Tucker. Discussing this further, Michael mentions that Billy is Ashley's, Eileen Davidson, brother, and maybe Tucker's working on an angle to get back in her good graces. Additionally, since Devin Brighton James owns Winters, it would make sense for Tucker to look into the company since his son is the CEO. Lastly, Michael and Victor discuss the connection Tucker has to Audra, Zuleika Silver, who is now dating Nate. Since she crossed Tucker in the whole glissade ordeal, if Tucker is Aristotle, then she probably has some revenge headed her way, and so does Victor. Having said all of that, whether Aristotle is Tucker or Kane Daniel Goddard, which we think is a very strong possibility, we tend to believe Victor is going to be in for one heck of a fight, as it appears the future ownership of Chancellor may be at stake. Considering Aristotle has likely been plotting some nefarious scheme for a while, we think for now he steps ahead of Victor. In order to stay that way, we can imagine him gearing up to make quite a decisive move against Victor. If we had to guess, Aristotle may move to set Victor back by going after Michael. In the very same episode, Lauren, Tracy E. Bregman, expressed her concerns to Nikki, Melody Thomas Scott, that Michael's blind loyalty to Victor would come back to bite her husband. Will she be proven right? While she was largely referring to Michael helping Victor take down Jack, Peter Bergman, who's to say her foreboding words didn't have broader implications. It's in the realm of possibility that Aristotle sees taking Michael off the chessboard would greatly hinder Victor. Michael is Victor's savvy attorney and fixer. Heck, if this were a mafia film, Michael would be considered the consigliere to Victor's Don. Michael often goes outside of the realm of what's completely legal to help his boss. So what if Aristotle sets a trap for Michael to get proof that Michael has done something illegal, or at least unethical? Michael could then be looking at jail or disbarment, which would greatly hinder his career and his ability to help Victor. For now, this is just a theory we have about Michael, but we doubt a scene where Lauren begs Nikki for help protecting her husband was placed on TV in vain. For weeks now, the Young and the Restless canvas has been engulfed by the mystery of Aristotle Dumas. Every major player in Genoa City and fans at home has been asking the same questions. Who is the man behind Aristotle? What is Aristotle after? And will Aristotle really best the great Victor Newman, Eric Braeden? Hopefully, these are all questions that will be answered starting with The Young and the Restless episode airing on Friday, June 13th. The date of Aristotle's highly anticipated party at his summer home in Nice, France. Given he had exclusive invites sent out to the movers and shakers of Genoa City, we assume he'll finally reveal himself on his turf and have loads of surprises in store. Speaking of the guest list, in a big shocker, Adam, Mark Grossman, apparently wasn't invited, despite Aristotle inviting Victor, Nikki, Melody Thomas Scott, Victoria, Amelia Heinley, and Nick, Joshua Morrow. Although Adam played it cool when talking to Chelsea, Melissa Claire Egan, about being snubbed, it seemed like he was slightly taken aback. However, he eventually deduced that it was best he wasn't going, as the whole party seems like an elaborate trap, going back to Victoria, while she initially had plans on attending the French bash. Cole's J. Eddie Peck, health has taken a turn for the worse. In the Young and the Restless episode from June 5th, Victoria shares with Nikki and Nick her concerns about Cole, who is now in the hospital. Given Cole isn't showing signs of improving yet, Victoria tells her mom and brother that she's going to stay behind to look after him, skipping Aristotle's party. Although she's unwavering in her decision not to go to France, she's still concerned about what Aristotle is up to. Having said all of that, we tend to agree with Adam about the shindig being a trap. We can't say for sure in what way it's a trap at this point, but him staying behind in